Hello. Hi, I'm Jen Anderson. I'm CIO for National Wealth Fund. Agreeing as well, I'm going to be celebrating my 50th next year, so I'm going to start to say I'm not even halfway through my life, so better start saving more though, definitely. But yeah, so who am I and who is the National Wealth Fund? So let me give a bit of an overview. So Jennifer Anderson started my career in technology in the 90s when it looked like a very, very different place. Began my career as a developer, working in the PKI space, so building libraries, so very much around development, moved out into kind of testing, then into management, engineering. Finally was a CTO for a fintech up in Leeds, where we created software for credit unions. Moved into the world of consultancy, which is a little bit of a different space, and about a year and a half ago started working for the National Wealth Fund up in Leeds in my first time as the CIO as opposed to CTO, so a slightly different role, but still very much leading and shaping the technology of the organisation. So I guess the organisation, who is the National Wealth Fund? People kind of go, I didn't even realise we had a National Wealth Fund. We are a government arm's length body, so we're funded by the government, but we are not civil servants. And we've been given the task of deploying capital into the economy that helps promote the government's strategic objectives. So these strategic objectives that we've been given is around helping the UK get to net zero, so that the net zero gain, so making sure that we make investments that get there, but also around economic growth within regions in the UK. And last March, our mandate was extended to cover more than just net zero and infrastructure, but kind of widened to include dual-use technologies, life sciences, creative industries, which kind of covers pretty much everything. So we're effectively almost like an investment bank for the government. So they've deployed us with 28 billion of capital to invest in the UK. We do have very strict kind of rules that we need to keep to. So I guess one of the things that we need to ensure is that we drive in private capital investment alongside this. So it's not just enough for us to say, okay, we need to create some wind farms, or we want to have some carbon capture, or any of these new technologies. We also have to work with private investment to make sure that we are encouraging this type of investment, because a lot of this infrastructure is very expensive and they like to be able to have support from the government, but also that we are ensuring that we get the right investment in different levels. So we tend to try and go for a 3-to-1. So for every 3 times in private investment, we have 1 in there. So just making sure that we have that kind of full, so that we are trying to ensure that these investments happen that are right for the UK and that are right for our economy. I think another thing that we also look at, whereas investments tend to look at just financial returns, that is incredibly important to us. But we also need to look at the impact. So, what is the impact that this investment is going to have on helping us get to net zero? It may be very, very upfront investments required for some of this infrastructure, so large sums, but is it going to help us achieve what we need to achieve? Are we going to get the impact that we wanted on that? Are we going to create perhaps jobs in parts of the UK that aren't, maybe could really do with having that investment made? So we did release our impact report not that long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. It's really interesting. There's some really exciting things we've been working on, but just some kind of keynotes. We've created like 66,000 jobs from the investments that we've made so far. I probably should have pointed out that we are only 4 years old, so a relatively newbie on the block. We are going to be responsible for 30% of the clean energy that will be produced in the UK. So some really exciting things that we get to work on, really exciting projects. As CIO, I tend not to get to look on that side of it. I'm making sure that the technology works for everyone in the organisation, making sure that that we are looking at the the best that's out there and what we can, how we can streamline processes to ensure that the fund reaches its digital goals, if that makes sense. So that's a little bit about who I am, a little bit about the NWF. This is all about unlocking innovation and about citizen development and the rise of agentic AI. So I guess maybe a bit of a hands up. Have people heard of citizen developers? A few. Okay, so it's not necessarily a relatively new thing. I mean, citizen developers has probably been around for maybe 7-8 years. It's kind of come from the whole growth of low code, no code. So for those who maybe aren't aware or not sure of it, low code is, I guess, that ability for you to be able to create an application or an automation without having to develop lines of code or being a developer. So I'll just shift. Is it going to work? Okay, here we go. So yeah, so just a little bit about who are the key players, and why are we hearing this citizen developer, which I actually believe people might have thought are dead and buried, but actually I think that we're just seeing a real growth, or kind of the beginning of where we'll see more and more of this in our organizations. So who are citizen developers, or what is it? So this is the view, is that somebody outside of your technology or IT team creates or builds applications using low-code or no-code platforms. So I guess I know some people in your heads are thinking, shadow IT, shadow IT, shadow IT, but essentially this is the view that you're going to have people in your organizations, in your business functions, that can create and develop applications. Agentic AI, and I guess probably the other key player is the low-code, no-code platforms. So there's plenty of no-code and low-code platforms out there. I think one of the biggest ones at the moment, and the ones that we use within our organization, is the Microsoft Power Platform. So what that is generally is a suite of tools that allows you to, as you say, drag and drop and create applications or workflows or automations. And what we've seen really in the last probably 12 months or so is that rise of Copilot and Copilot agents that is really fueling this Power Platform. So this is where we see that the presence, I mean, I probably don't have to ask, do people understand agentic AI? I'm assuming that we're all at the place where we understand, but just to kind of confirm, agentic AI is around making sure that it's these autonomous AI systems that will automate and do a task based on inputs and data that you have. So I think it's been really important that prior to us even kind of embarking on this program, we were really looking at, how can we utilize some of the tools that we already had with our licensing. But I think the rise of, agents and that agentic AI has really supercharged that. Now, I guess the question I will kind of say is, well, why would we do this? And, I've been in software development for, as I say, the last 30 years. And how it used to work was, you'd have your business on one side, and then you'd have your developer on the other, and, you get your requirements, and, then building something that they think they would. And, we all went, no, that's the wrong thing to do. What we need to do is actually do agile development and have cross-functional teams and everyone sitting together in squads. And you have your business functionary person sitting in with your developer. And yes, that has massively improved. But this is almost reimagining it. This is because your business person becomes your developer. It is like the ultimate shift left. So how much closer can you get than the person who knows what they want is also able to do what they want to do? Now, when we started on this program of kind of introducing citizen developer to our organization, I was, yes, very naive. I thought, oh, no problem. Nobody needs to understand how to code. What we'll do is I got a number of, and I'll talk through a little bit later, kind of the steps we went through, but I got a number of people within our organization to say, what I would kind of say our firsties are the first makers. Got 10 people to say, let's have a little look through this and let's understand, who would like to embark or who would like to kind of start on this proof of concept with us. And I sent them on the Power Platform training course. Did it myself, thinking, oh yeah, this is going to be easy, I'm a developer. But actually, it was a lot more technical than I thought it would be. So I guess Microsoft's view of low code, no code at that point was certainly, it made me kind of reevaluate, okay, maybe actually our makers they don't have to be in the tech team, but they do need to kind of understand the basics. However, with some of the newer, and I'd say this technology is moving at pace, with some of the newer AI agentic solutions and tools that we have, it is much easier for you to develop some of this automation and low code with natural language. And we're seeing that really, and I guess it's moving faster and faster, but we're seeing that real quick momentum in how you can go from natural language to an application quite quickly. So understanding who the key players are. I just wanted to put a few facts out there. So just it's not just me around that's saying this. So looking online, and again, some of these figures are from like earlier in the year or end of last year, and I believe that with the growth of agentic AI and some of the stuff that we're seeing coming out in the markets that are really empowering some of our non-IT people to be able to build, this will even be bigger. But we can see some of the headlines here, like 75% of new applications will be built using low-code and no-code platforms. Now, yes, some of this will be done by techies, but a lot of it will be done by business users. 100 billion will be spent on low-code platforms by 2030. And we've seen that by 2028, 15% of day-to-day work decisions will be made by agentic AI, and 33% of enterprise softwares will include agentic AI. So we know that the adoption of this software is only growing. Us in our roles, and I guess it depends on whether you're what type of organization you're sitting in, but there is a lot of pressure for us to adopt this technology, and I think it's making sure that we adopt it in a way that can really make it innovative for our organization. So talking through how this will accelerate innovation, we touched a little bit about speed to market. So, well, I guess it will ensure that when we talk about market, it's also getting things live to production within our organizations. So by removing some of the key players, so by removing technology and really empowering our business users to be able to develop these applications themselves, or these flows, or these agents, we will be able to bypass this kind of backlog. And I don't know how it is in your organizations, but a lot of organizations, it becomes a bottleneck. You end up going on some backlog list of doom where you're kind of hoping that at some point your ask is going to be important enough to be able to be done. You have to be able to demonstrate business value, and actually even in some organizations, it's who you are, who your manager, what influence they have. So, it's about trying to remove that and empowering the business people themselves to say, okay, if I want to build this and I feel that this is going to work and improve processes in my team, then I can do this myself. So empowering them to do that. Again, this is making sure that we get value-driven solutions. So particularly looking at agents and ensuring that we can look at the value that they can bring. So some of the stuff that we've been looking at is how can we support our business users in having agents to work alongside them. And, we're talking about agents not only being supported, but also being team members. So, they're talking about that soon you'll have a team that will be not just your business users, but your agents. So I guess being in a team where you can create your colleagues is something that you'll be able to do through the citizen development. And I think then the final thing is just having this empowered workforce. So I guess one of the things that really came to light and the drivers for me doing this was looking out into the business and seeing these really smart, sharp people who wanted to be able to improve their own processes, who wanted to be able to improve how they do their jobs, but kind of unsure or unable to do that. So really empowering them and saying, okay, we'll give you the tools, we'll give you the governance, but we don't actually know what you want to achieve. We're not in your day-to-day. We're not building financial models. We're not doing these processes ourselves. So if we empower and help and govern, then that will allow you to get there. So I think it's making sure that the workforce is empowered to be able to build these agents or build this no-code. Okay. So I don't think any of the use cases within financial services are going to be new. I think, when you look at, say, bringing in all the challenges that financial services have or what we need to do, I think that the citizen developer and agentic AI are really going to help us improve those services. So I guess some of the big things is around loan processing, or this could be actually deal processing, or what we have around investments and trying to understand, the process. We can look at building agents that are going to be able to help that process, speed it up. It may be that we'll have multiple agents that orchestrate to be able to automate these processes. So I was recently, actually just last night, chatting to someone who works in a hedge fund here in the city. They've really embraced this whole, I don't even think he understood the term citizen developer, because when I spoke to him, he hadn't heard it. But essentially, this is what they were doing. They got their middle office people to sit down, 10 of them. They upskilled them in how to build an agent. They upskilled them in the technology. And they put the challenge to them to say, automate your processes. So this stuff is happening, and it's the efficiencies that they see that can be gained are really big. So I guess some of the other key areas that we can look at is risk management. So anything where you have an input. So say like we're looking at, when it comes to risk management, we're looking at the risk associated with the investment or the loan. So what we need to understand is, let's take something like we just touched on earlier, like the credit score or whatever points that you're going to have to make sure that the investment is in the right place. So that's going to be your input, so your input areas. And your teams are going to be looking at them and then deciding whether you're going to have a loan. So I think we've seen this automation happen already, and a lot of the big organizations are doing this. But the rise of agents means that we can really enhance and improve these processes, making sure that we can move faster and move quicker. I think each of these areas in your organizations that you're working on, it's really easy to go out and find some use cases where the citizen developer or agentic AI can help you in this. So I guess this is probably the how. So is it, how are you going to do this, and how did we do this? Now, we are Microsoft estate, so we had already had our E5 licenses. So essentially, we already had access to the tools that were there. So for us, it was quite a no-brainer. So we were saying, right, we've got these tools already. We've got this technology already in our estate. Let's ensure that we enable our teams to be able to use it. We had a Power Platform team, so we established the objectives, which was to create a citizen developer center of excellence. So Microsoft actually has a toolkit that you can download and deploy. We installed that upon our estate and so we were able to see and govern who was building what, when, and where. We set up this governance framework, so making sure that we, within our current governance framework, that we could include this in. So making sure that when people are building their own apps, agents and flows, that they can be reviewed as we would bringing anything into our estate. We also looked at how, did we need to do it with all of them? So was it something that we could say, well, if you're doing it for your own personal efficiencies and it's not costing too much and it's only for you, then we probably don't need approval. You can do that yourself. If it's a critical process that's impacting the organization, we need to understand it has to go through the standard software development lifecycle and application lifecycle management. We also set up our DLP, so our data loss protection. We had Purview, which helps us on that. We're a new organization, which also helped the fact that we didn't have huge amounts of data. So it's just making sure that we had the centralized governance there, making sure that we understood the cost, the use, and the impact that these applications and flows would have, but also looking at where can we decentralize some of it. So, in certain scenarios, you could just say, go ahead and build it. Training and resources, again, this is something that needs to be done. As I touched on earlier, it was more challenging than I thought, but we are seeing the rate of change for ourselves at Microsoft is so fast that some of their newer tools really can use that natural language processing. So just yourself typing in, I want to do an app and I want to do this and I want to do that. So really getting your organization set up for this means that you are ready for whatever else is coming down the line. Establishing a feedback loop, so just making sure that we understand when and how things are going, are people improving, and then achieving. So celebrate your successes. So when you've created applications or when you've created flows that work, make sure that you're letting people know and people are celebrated for their successes. I think, to be honest, one of the hardest things that we had on this is that it was a bit of a side of desk for a lot of people. So it's trying to make sure that you're giving people the space and the time, particularly our business users, to be able to learn and upskill and embrace it. So I think we just went through a couple of what we as an organization, and I know that was the CTO, so I was wondering if we wanted to understand the kind of tech behind it. So these are our products that we've used. So Copilot Studio, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power Pages. And we can see the capabilities. So this AI Builder is a relatively new tool that allows you to type in natural language what you want. It allows you to quickly create agents. So it's really powerful ecosystem that will really drive innovation for your own organizations. And I guess coming to finishing, so it is a big slide, but it's just trying to show you the size of the ecostate. And if you look there very much kind of at the far left, you can see, so at the top, these are all so this is particularly around the AI use cases. You can see all the personas. But if you look at the bottom two, you can see what the no code and the low code is. So there's a lot that can be achieved with that citizen developer. And there's a lot that can be done to really empower your business and really accelerate innovation and change across your business. I think I'm to time. Yes, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be around for the next hour or so.